Hello, my name is Beard, and welcome to something a little bit different on this channel for once. Today we're gonna do an anime review thingy a little bit. So, for those of you who don't know, on this Friday the Girls Frontline anime started, and for those of you who do know, I'm a big Girls Frontline guy. You can even see the gang right there. And the Diner Gates plush right there. So I'm a Girls Frontline guy. Anyone who sees this video probably knows. So yeah, the anime started, and I just thought, let's do some episodic reviews of it. Do a little bit of a video every week talking about the anime. After the episode happened, after I had a bit of time. It aired 2 days ago at this point, and it had a little while to soak in, and I had a few days to form my thoughts on it. And overall, first and foremost, I'm just gonna get my opinions out of the way. It's good. It's nothing exceptional. It's about what I expected, especially with Asahi Productions involved, which, they are not the most prestigious anime studio. The biggest thing they have under the belt is their original season of Precure, I think, which actually I did watch and dropped after like 4 episodes. But I am a huge Precure guy, so, oh shit. Overall, good showing for the first episode. I do think it looks good. Like, I didn't expect anything extravagant in terms of visuals and animation. I got around what I expected. Here and there, it's a bit iffy, but at the same time, here and there, it's really, really good. Especially, of course, the money shots, which there are a fair few of in this episode. And of course, there's also the opening, which is incredible. I'm going to say that much right now. I fucking love the opening to this anime. And the ending as well. Like, the ending song is also fantastic. Like, not just the music, but both the anime OP and ED are, for one, really good songs, and secondly, really good OPs and EDs. They definitely got their money's worth there, because they probably didn't spend that much on it, let's be real. Now, there are a few things that I wrote down here that I want to cover specifically, and, we'll get to that. But a few things I do want to mention is, like, I see a lot of, like, very, very polarizing opinions on this anime. Like, personally, for me, again, it's not the second coming of our Lord and Savior Huang Chong, but it's good. I like it, Of course, I know this story in and of itself inside and out. Like, that's nothing that should surprise anyone watching this video. It's probably somewhere in the title or description even. So, there are a few things that I've noticed going through this episode that I kind of want to talk about. For first and foremost, like, I do think they really tried. And that's the one thing that I really want to emphasize is, no matter what you think about the quality of the production, whether you think the artwork sucks or the animation is garbage, or if you love all of it, I do really think they tried with this first episode. Now, of course, whether that actually comes through in the following episodes or not is something that remains to be seen. I am very much excited for the next episode after the showing that we had with this one, but, things can always go south after the first episode, especially. Let's not think too far ahead. Let's just talk about episode 1. That's what we're here for. So, there's one thing that I want to quickly touch on, because I don't really want to go over it in a big thing, and that's that Sturmgewehr 44 was replaced by G43 because, the whole Kayanon thing with her going to Yasakuni Shrine, and that's just geopolitical garbage I don't want to get into, and I don't think people should get mad about Sturmgewehr 44 being replaced by G43. There's like one little bit of lore inaccuracy there, because it means that, G43 launches a grenade at some Sangwis units on a roof, which, that's something that Sturmgewehr 44 does. Like, that's her skill in game. That she has an anti-personnel like gun-launched grenade. That's something that G43 doesn't. She's a night rifle in-game. So, a little bit of inaccuracy there because they didn't want to use Kion on as the voice actress, which she is for Sturmgewehr 44. It's tiny little things like that. That's some people are getting really, really upset about. That's just, guys, where are your priorities? We're getting a really good anime here. Don't get hung up on these tiny details that essentially don't matter for the anime watcher, because that's what I really want to emphasize, is that I think this anime is an incredible starting point for someone wanting to get into GFL. Because the thing is that GFL, if you're going to get into it nowadays, you're probably getting into it for the story, because people are selling you on it for the story. So, the game itself is pretty slow on start, and this first episode covers the story of Chapter 0 and the introduction to the game. I think that's a fantastic, hook and catch. Chapter 0 is a fantastic hook and catch, and the game doesn't start with the hook and catch. It only starts with a hook, and then it doesn't pull you in, it just leaves you dangling on the hook until you've played through Chapter 4, and then it kind of starts slowly reeling you in. With this first episode, you have the hook and catch right at the same time. You nibble on the hook and you're fucking out of there. We just can't focus on all the little teeny tiny things here and there, especially because this is adapting the manga from what we can tell, not the game. So there are a few little things here and there that are already different in the manga. I will admit, I haven't read the manga. I haven't read a single panel of the manga outside of memes that I've seen, like Sop knocking the door with, somebody, which is actually a scene that we get in this episode, which did put a little smile on my face, I will admit. There are a few things that, I want to criticize, and a few things that I really think are super interesting that I want to praise even, and a few oddities here and there. Let's start with the oddities. M16's case, sometimes in a few of the shots, especially at the beginning of the episode, looks fucking gargantuan. It looks much, thicker and shorter and flatter than, long, which it usually is, and comparatively more square in, its cross-section. So instead of, this cross-section, we're getting this cross-section, it feels like, in some of the shots. But, that's nitpicking again. That's just something that kind of stood out to me, because it's kind of inconsistent between shots. Another oddity was, the vocal bits you hear when Agent first comes on. It does do well in setting the vibe, but I do think it just kind of sounds wrong. It doesn't really fit GFL. It doesn't really vibe. That's just a personal opinion, but, it's a thing, But the, bell-like synth that replaces those vocal chops later on in the episode, they're fantastic. Love the way that, that's a bit of a substitution going on there. Another thing that I actually really enjoyed is Persica's voice actress, because if you don't know, Persica is actually, or Persicaria, is fully voiced in Project Neural Cloud, and I've gotten used to her voice in Project Neural Cloud after playing that game for a month or two after launch, before the language barrier got too steep with Chinese and everything. And boy, I was too used to Persicaria's voice, because if you don't know, Persicaria, she's a doll made in Persica's image, but she doesn't have the same afflictions as Persica. So it was really interesting hearing that same character with such a heavy tonal shift, but the voice is still there perfectly. They nailed it, and that's fantastic. That's so good. That's that just makes me really giddy. And I know, Persica also has voice lines in the game. They got around to all that. Yes, I know. But still, I think it's fucking awesome. A little teeny bit, again, that's different from the game that I noticed is the database password is different. It's 90 Wish Rocks with an X at the end rather than rocks spelled ROX. So it's ROCKSX instead of just ROX. Teeny tiny detail that I noticed that was kind of weirded me out. It's nitpicking. It's just something I noticed that I wanted to point out. Now, there's something that I love that they're doing here, and that is the doll destruction. This show is a lot more graphic than I expected it to be, and I love it because we see dolls getting dismembered and their craniums fucking exploding. There's, of course, no blood because these are androids, so of course it makes sense that they can show all this, but it's so cool to see. We have G43 getting absolutely vibe checked by Agent. It's so cool. And then, of course, afterwards, we also see specifically G43 and Scorpion with only their torsos and their heads intact, and they're still able to kind of work. Earlier on in the episode, during the gunfight between the SF units and the AR team, we also see a Ripper getting a straight headshot from AR-15, and while they fall over from getting shot, half their fucking head is gone, but they're technically still working. They fell over, they don't really have that fine control anymore, but, the legs are still doing the walking motion. It's really cool because we have multiple times been told that, the core of a T-doll is not in her head where her brain would be in terms of as a human. It's in their chest. So we see that when the chest isn't destroyed, T-dolls are still able to operate, at least kind of. Again, I love how graphic some of the dismemberment, some of the destruction is, especially later on after Agent gets just the grenade to the face. We see, she lost an arm. There's exposed wiring down her neck, and part of her face is burned off, and she's basically unfazed. I mean, of course, she's sustained damage. She's like, oh, you fucking filthy AR team. But she's still a fully functional doll until AR-15 knocks her out, which that was a shot to the head, so that part. But let's ignore that. Something else that I really enjoyed in that kind of graphic sense is how well they sold the chokehold that Agent has on AR-15 or M4. Sorry, that was fucking impeccable. That was really fucking good. I really, really loved that scene. Again, we get a shot to the head taking out the doll rather than, to the actual core in her chest. But I think that's excusable in that case because her entire head clean comes off. So, and again, I think it's fine. On one side, they are showing us, if the head and the torso are still kind of intact, things still work. If the torso and the legs are still intact, things still kind of work. But if the whole head comes clean off, I think that's when the whole thing just pops like a melon of robotics, then, you have their visual is gone, probably their communications are gone, which in this case, given that it's a dummy link, actually, yeah, that's the explanation for everything. I just answered my own. I just answered the inconsistencies that I pointed out myself. Huh. Yeah, they're dummies, of course. So, with their comms in their heads, that means when their heads are popped, they can't get any. They can't receive any orders anymore. That's fucking brilliant. I'm stupid. Don't listen to anything what I'm saying. Another thing that I really liked was the way this is the first time we're really seeing this. I mean, of course, there's the cyberspace maps in the game, but I think this was the first time we're probably seeing the Zener network being visualized. When they're having a tactical meeting with the AR team are having a tactical meeting with the Griffin support dolls that they just picked up, we're actually getting a proper visualization of the Xener network, and that is super cool because that's something we haven't had yet. We're getting like a proper overview of the field, like where the actual in-game missions are made diegetic. They're being given an in-universe appearance. Like we're shown node capturing and stuff like that, right? Ah, man. I'm getting all giddy. This again, I just think it's super cool. I realized later on is also the way that they're handling these support units, because of course, they're just expendables, right? They're just Griffin T-dolls that were abandoned in this area and are now patrolling for Sanguis units in the middle of enemy territory. Doesn't make any sense for them to be there other than just, again, being abandoned, which they were. And M4 has empathy for them, while the other three in the AR team are just like, yeah, they're expendables, just like R2 Griffin. And of course, that's fantastic characterization for one on the AR team's part, but also it comes through later when they all get killed by Agent's dummies, specifically in AR-15's reaction, where she's like, oh, God damn it. It's not like a morning damn it. It's like, damn it, shit, no, fuck, we lost the squad. It's, oh, God damn it. Okay, well, now we have to deal with this shit. It's kind of like that, and I think that's like a really small detail, especially because in that scene she's like in the mid ground, like she's not fully in the background, so she's not completely drawn like a potato, but she's not in the foreground either, so she's like not animated as detailed, and they still got that over, not just with voice work, but also with the animation, with her actual expression, which is just like a little grudge rather than actual like. She's not really moved by the loss of the dolls. She's just like, well, shit. Now we gotta handle this. And I really like that. Again, that's just further world building, further characterization on all fronts. And that's something that we need this early on, again, to get franchise foreigners into GFL. And, I'm talking about all these fantastic things about the anime that are, like, they're second nature to us who've played and read the actual story of the game, but I still think the anime should be praised for executing on these things well. And just left and right, I'm seeing people who are just like, oh, the anime sucks, the anime sucks. Like, come on. Cut it some slack and accept it for what it is. It's a fantastic look into the world of Girls Frontline, to the story of Girls Frontline. It's a fantastic primer, and like anyone who's watched this first episode can now go and play the game. They're hook, line, and sinker in if the game lands with them. They have the prologue, which mirrors the episode they just seen, and then after that, they're getting into Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 4, which play after what they've just seen, and then they unlock Chapter 0, and they get the rest of what they've just seen. If we're taking the fishing analogy all the way to its end, then the prologue is the hook, Chapter 0 is the line, and the rest of the story is the sinker, because we're going like in chronological order there. There's not much more for the game to do other than make people play through the first 4 chapters, which with that hook they have from the anime now being really well embedded, and I think that's just great. Just a bit more meta discussion here at the end of the video. I do think that we are going to go up until roughly Chapter 8, maybe 9, which kind of sucks because it would have been cool to see, spoiler talk, the KCCO betrayal would have been fantastic to see in animated form. But, beggars can't be choosers at this point, really. We're having 12 episodes. I think we're definitely going to see Operation Cube because we have seen Team 404 teased in official material. And we have seen Sanguis ringleaders up to Glimmer. So I think that Arctic Warfare could be possible, even though we haven't seen Architect or Gauger. And we haven't seen Ouroboros either. But again, we've seen 404. They don't really take that much precedent in the story early on, except for Operation Cube. And then we haven't seen like Gaia or Garm either, but given that, again, Team 404 are here, we've seen Destroyer as well in the opening, and, we've seen Dreamer, I definitely think that we're at least going to deep dive, because we see a lot of references to the butterfly incident in the opening. That's my spitball estimate, that we're going until either Chapter 8/deep dive, or Chapter 9 if we're really lucky. We have no trace of Judge anywhere, so that's a relatively baseless claim. It's just, spitting out a chance, really. Because if we count, we have Chapter 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, Cube, 5, 6, 7, Arctic Warfare, 8, Deep Dive. That's 12 episodes right there, right? So I do think that at least Deep Dive is definitely in the stars for us. Because if you look at the titles of the episodes, we have Episode 1 being Seed, and it very clearly covers Chapter 0. And then we have Episode 1 coming up next week, which they did give us the title as is usual, which is Wake Up, or in our localized case, Awakening, which is the name of Chapter 1. So I'm pretty confident to say right now that if we keep the pace, of course, there's no guarantee for that, we're gonna have one episode per chapter. Yeah, or one chapter per episode, whatever way you want it. But anyways, that was a lot of beating around the bush for not a lot said, let's be real. But you're just gonna see a jump cut version of this anyways, so thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more of this, make sure to hit a like button, make sure to subscribe. Let me know your opinions on the anime down in the comments below. Check out the links in the description, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, whatever the fuck you want, and have a good one.